This is Vic Patel with Craft Express.
My name is Ashley from Artistry.
It's Gavin, founder, creator of Seps.io, and you're listening to
Two Regular Guys podcast,
Hosted by
Terry Combs RG, regular guy,
and Aaron Montgomery.
The place to be for industry news.
The best dad jokes on earth, along with relevant topics to apparel decorators.
Prepare for the wild.
All right, welcome into the show. It is Friday, March 7th, 2025. I'm Terry Combs. You can find me at terrycombs.com.
Well, and I am obviously not Aaron Montgomery, but I'm Erich Campbell sitting in for Aaron while he's speaking at GPX in Arlington. Last week, though, Terry and Aaron took a look back at some past niche market shows to see how kind of the suggestions have aged and how things have changed. And they pulled specifically from episode 200. So that is back in the archives, 2017, April 7th. And they had the 200 niche markets episode. Why I put little scare quotes for those of you who are watching is they most certainly did not manage to cover 200 niche markets. But that is a joke we've told for a long time due to Terry's infamous 52 markets that you did not get done in 52 minutes.
Yeah, at the Impressions Expo, it was 52 niche markets in 52 minutes. I got about 20.
Yeah, and I'm sure we'll probably get about as good ratings today for how quickly we get through stuff, but hopefully we'll still be able to get something good. Obviously, I thought it was a great show last week, and I'm going to be covering for Aaron and talking about some of his markets, but funny enough, there's some of the ones I want to talk about too. So today we'll kind of look back and look forward with niche markets that have emerged since that 2017 show and things that are just kind of on our minds about niche markets in general.
Exactly right. I'm an old-time screen printer, Eric, so I call it niche markets because niche markets feels kind of uppity to me. But I'm
going to say it both ways throughout the entire thing because I never remember which one I'm supposed to do at any given time. So I'm not going to apologize. You get one. It's kind of like Terry does when he steals one of your quotes. And now I do. Back to Terry is one time you get the credit, and then from then on, no more. I'll apologize once for saying it both ways, and then I'm not apologizing again.
All right. Well, make sure you stay till the very end for the secret sauce. I'm going to be bringing you another screen printing back to basics, talking about platen adhesives. So stay tuned for that.
Very cool. I always like to get back to the essentials. I think foundations are super important, but also kind of foundational is keeping your head on a swivel and seeing what's out there in the world. And just for that, we have one of our favorites here. We have Adrian on. So shall we get to the news?
Let's hear the news. Looking forward to hear from Adrian.
Always.
Hey everyone, great to see you, Terry and Eric. My first two news items today cover some money-saving options for those specifically in the heat press space. So Stalls is offering up to $360 in free emblems and patches with the purchase of a new Hotronics 360 IQ hat press. The company has also reduced minimum order quantities for its dimensional emblem and patch product category, which is allowing more decorators to expand their offering with a variety of retail quality finishes. 613 Originals has announced the price of its DTF hybrid transfers has been reduced by 35%. The company has also introduced larger sheet sizes, including what the company is claiming to be the largest hybrid sheet size in the industry at 12.75 by 19 inches. The newly expanded sizes provide more flexibility and possibilities for projects ranging from small logos to oversized prints, catering to a wide variety of apparel decoration needs. And last, we have partnered with Keypoint Intelligence for the DTF State of the Industry Survey. Taking the survey will help us better understand industry trends, challenges, and opportunities. Johnny Schell, principal analyst at Keypoint Intelligence, will be sharing an overview of the survey results in his session at DTF Expo titled Market Trends and Consumer Preferences in DTF Transfers. 25 respondents of the survey will be entered for a chance to win a free ticket to DTF Expo in Mesa, Arizona, April 1st through 2nd, coming up here in a few weeks. Which, by the way, if you are attending the expo, today is the last day. The discounted price is available for our partner hotel next door to the convention center, so make sure you book your rooms. The survey should take about 20 minutes. And I do want to thank our awesome sponsor, Roland. So that's all for me. Thank you guys. Have a great weekend, and I hope to see you at DTF Expo.
I didn't get a chance to say where in the world is Adrian because she said, "Oh, I'm in Chicago again." So that's 2 shows in a row. But then she let me know that she just got back in town last night. So we almost caught her in yet another location. But DTF Expo, I'm going to be there too. Super excited because I don't need a hotel room. By the way, Adrian, because I live in Phoenix, so
This
it's
is true.
it's
Though,
great.
if you did need the room, I just want to make sure everybody notices in the comments, wherever you're listening to this, you will find that live link for the hotel info as well. But yeah, get in on the survey by all means. I think I always take surveys. I think some of my friends are always kind of giving me a hassle because I'm the feedback guy. I will take a survey pretty much every time, but I'm like, hey, that's why so much of the world has stuff that I like in it. Because I'm like, if you take the surveys, you get to be the voice people are listening to when they start choosing new directions. So get out there and do that. And certainly also, it lets your feedback be important to how we understand what the industry is doing. Get out there and tell them the truth, folks.
Yeah, absolutely. And friend of the show, Johnny Shell. Johnny's been on
Yeah.
our show so many times in the past. And because we've been friends with Johnny for, I don't know, 20, 25 years. And he does such cool stuff at Key Point
Oh, yeah.
Intelligence and just such valuable information if you're paying attention. So make sure that you check that out and be a part of it.
Absolutely. And honestly, just all good news to hear from all the stuff that we're looking at there for the money savings and everything else too. It's something that's very useful to people. And I'm a big patch guy. So I was like loving that Stalls is still pushing to get people on the patch train with their press. So always love to see that too, but definitely looking forward to that survey when it comes back out. I'd love to see how that stuff comes out from Johnny. He does incredible stuff over there.
Yeah, exactly right. So
we do have some regulars checking in this morning. I wanted to go ahead and say good morning, everybody. Rena is in saying good morning. Ramona says, what timing? Yeah, kind of bad timing because I had some technical difficulties this morning, but at least we got in and got her started. But hey, it works out for us. So thank you for tuning in, folks. If you are currently watching live, we would love for you to share this with your industry friends. And I'd love to have more people in to talk about niche markets or niche markets, whichever one you want to do. But jump in, share this with your friends, and by all means, we want to hear from you during the show.
And tell us which one you're responding to, niche or niche.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine too. You can also just criticize how we say stuff. I mean, that's fair. Also, hey, all feedback's feedback in the world of social media. We'll take it.
Well, yeah, and Erica, I would love to hear if anybody has gotten into a new market since the COVID days, and yeah, tell us what new markets you've gotten into, and we're going to talk about some things that didn't exist before COVID and some opportunities for new markets. So
this is true. Though before that, we have another really great opportunity, and that's an opportunity to hear a really good dad joke. So by all means, if you're ready, I want to get on to this joke.
Absolutely. By the way, Eric, this is a decorated apparel dad jokes. So just saying.
So it's even topical. Come on. The guy works so hard. You got to give him something. All right. Let's get into the dad joke.
All right. Did you know that if you turn a canoe over, you can wear it as a hat?
I mean, I got a big head, but I didn't know that. Why is that?
Yeah, because now it's capsized.
And yes, it's capsized for those of you who didn't know. I like this one. Come on. That is traditionally good wordplay. I can't argue with that one. I might groan a little bit or stall the laugh, but come on, that was a really good one.
Well, I have to tell our listeners that when I put this in the outline, I sent a message to both Eric and Aaron and said, "Go check out my dad joke." And at the end of it, I have "bam."
Yeah, I love that one. Come on, I like that one a lot. That is the proper way to do a dad joke. But then again, I'm a a big proponent of doing the pun thing. I like that. Turning a word around is my favorite thing. So I like this one a lot.
All right. Well, I appreciate it.
So not as much head shaking today, aside from, I have to everybody wants the groan out of me now. Now that's part of the joke, but no, I like that one.
All right. Before we dive in, we'd like to thank everybody for checking out the Two Regular Guys podcast. We still need your voices. We would love to have the regulators participate in the show intros that you see here at the top of every show. Go to decorators.ink/intro, read a few lines and be a part of the show. Don't be left out. We are always looking for new guests. So if you or anyone you know would like to join us, go to calendly.com/2, the number 2, regular guys to book an episode, or email us at info@tworegularguys.com with your show ideas. Or even if you don't want to be on the show and you have some ideas that things you'd like to hear about us, send us an email. If you're listening to the podcast version of the show, we would appreciate you sharing the Two Regular Guys podcast with all of your industry friends so they can become regulators too. And we would appreciate you giving us a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Podcast, YouTube Podcast, wherever you do your podcast listening, we are there. And if you're watching us live right now, please join in with your comments, your questions, and tell us about what niche market you're involved in. Even if it's not a brand new niche market, we want to hear from you.
Oh, heck no. In fact, I think there's a lot of opportunity there. In fact, recently I heard somebody once again talking about doing remote printing and printing on site. And that's something I haven't heard as much about. Back in the day, a lot of the early embroiderers were talking to me about setting up trailers to do things. And now it looks like that might be a thing again. Events are coming back. So I like I said, and like you said, the niche can come back, and these things can be also, it doesn't have to be always in the same place. It's not always the same type of event, but event decoration. I mean, now what we hear is on-site activations, but come on, folks. We're decorating an event in the booth. It's it's event decoration. What is old is new.
Yeah. Running old is new again, like you were saying. Yeah. I remember pre-COVID, Printed Threads down in Fort Worth. Something they were doing and doing again now is the big screen printing operation in Fort Worth. Who are great folks there, all with a rock and roll background. I had a band. I started a screen business. The story, and they were printing live in bars, taverns that had live music. And what they were doing is they were screen printing song lyrics. And so songs that the band were playing, and while the song is playing, they're printing shirts with the lyrics. And then if you bought the shirt, the band came over and they signed your shirt. And I thought, man, what a being a really fun event to do. What a great idea. There's so many niche markets out there for people to take advantage of. And those guys are great.
Plus, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but I'm just going to be fully honest. I can imagine many of our nights where we've maybe had a couple of adult beverages where all of us would be like, oh, God, I love this. Let's go get this shirt from the band with that lyric on it. You may not remember the shirt the next day, but I'm sure you'd buy it in the moment. That's a good mark. I like that. I mean, I know.
Yeah, last night.
The band, these guys, I guess. I'm wearing it. I don't know. But no, there are moments where it's like the moment itself becomes the thing. And I think, like you've said a million times, we worry about apparel so much because we like to create quality apparel and we're about the creativity, but the event is part of the thing. And sometimes it's the context in which something appears gives it all the value. You could have a single color, hand printed, maybe not the best version of everything, that if it's at the right place at the right time is the most valuable shirt on earth.
Well, yeah. The beauty of wearing that shirt is, oh yeah, let me tell you about this shirt. I was there, Yeah,
it's the story that you love. I mean, I think about the very first hats I made. We'll get into the niches again. I mean, I know I'm taking us off schedule here, but the very first hats I ever made, and I did a poor job. I'm just going to be honest. This digitizing was poor. It is not okay. But I made them for a high school in Paramus, New Jersey. And I know that is a long time ago when I started. There is a person out there right now who is like heading toward middle age who had graduated from that high school, because I was a teenager when I made it. They're in the middle age with me, and they have that horrible cap, and it's not the quality of the hat. I'm going to tell you for sure, and it's definitely not the quality of my design that keeps that in their closet. It's because it was from their, the party from their high school graduation. And I think that's the thing. It doesn't mean that we shouldn't do great quality work, but I think sometimes we get hung up on the process because we love the process. But there's a lot more when you're talking about the selling than just the process.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Well, so Aaron put together a list of 5 emerging niche markets. So let's go down Aaron's list before we jump into some of our own.
Yeah, let's go for it.
All right. The first one Aaron came up with was subscription box apparel. And yes, was this around before COVID? It was.
Sure.
It really kind of took off during COVID and has really blossomed since then. So what is this? It's a niche market about something that like the state of Kansas shirt or the pet lover shirt or the eco-conscious consumer shirt. It's something exclusive, and every month you get one, and every month it's a new graphic. So DTG, DTF is great for this kind of thing, to produce small, unique runs. Larger runs, you're looking more at screen printing and a more commercial DTF system. I'll give you an example of somebody that's doing this, and I didn't ask beforehand, so I won't say who it is, but there's a company that does a subscription service of shirts, and every month they run the credit cards and they send out the shirt. Their list has 13,500 people on it. Every March 1st, every April 1st, they run that credit card 13,500 times. Not that credit card, 13,500 credit cards. It's just one of those things that blossoms. So you see a lot of it out there now, especially on social media. But is the market saturated? I don't know if it is. How great are your graphics, and how great are your ideas?
It's hard to say, because like subscription boxes, it seems like maybe we've seen the height of them go a little bit, but it doesn't mean there aren't still plenty of them out there. Plus, there are things that don't look like subscription boxes that still are. I mean, because I've had a lot of people show me like, hey, I'm a very big guy. This is not something anybody's surprised by if you've seen me at a show. And so a lot of people sent me like, oh, hey, check this out. Here's this big and tall fashion thing for guys. Since I look like a video game character, I just palette swap the colors. It's the same, 3 outfits forever. But they're like, hey, here's some cool different stuff for big and tall dudes. But the same thing is like, oh, we sent you a couple of selections. What is that? It's a subscription box. It's the same as any, subscription box you have out there.
Oh, sure.
So I think, but it's like, I think people have started to not show the box as an item the same way they used to, but there's still that opportunity out there. And I think the great thing about the niche is that you can find an underserved niche. And it doesn't take 13,000 to make this useful as an order. How many monthly orders would you like to have that are exactly the same? I would love that. A monthly order you can count on. I mean, why is it good when we get a plumbing company that's always going through high turnover on garments, but this wouldn't be good? I think it's fantastic. It just takes a lot more creative on your side, and it takes a lot more marketing on your side. Really lovely to also set yourself up as saying, hey, I know how to do this and all the fulfillment. And then find creators or other people who are doing this kind of stuff, or artists who might want to run this kind of service, and just say, I am the full, complete fulfillment. You do that marketing and the cool art and stuff. I will make sure boxes get where they go.
1,000%.
Just an awesome way to do it if you don't want to get into the creative side of it. I know we've tried both. When we were over at Black Duck, when I was there, we were doing resort wear for people, and then we started our own line of resort wear. Let me tell you how much harder it is to do your own line and sell it into the local tourist shops and stuff than it was to wait for the established resort wear company to order. It is a lot harder.
And on your spreadsheet, wouldn't it be nice to have on every month $1,000, $5,000, $10,000 that is coming in? So it's
not to mention the additional. It's almost like you always say too, the additional kind of chutzpah you get out of packaging and all the other cool stuff you can do. If you really dial that in where you know how to do it, you can get a pretty nice markup on these things where it's not just, if you're the solution provider, not just the shirt maker, you can turn that into, your downtime into the packaging and the other half of this thing. And that part of that solution might be really what makes it more valuable to people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Well, what's next on our list, Eric?
I kind of spoke about creators earlier. I think the next thing is creator merch. So creator and influencer merch. And this is something I've actually dealt with a little bit myself. And we have a lot of friends of the show who have. So social media influencers, content creators, pretty much universally now have branded merchandise. Like it is not only an option, it's pretty much, a constant with them. They have some sort of merchandising store. Now, certainly print on demand services with DTG and DTF give them the possibility of launching merch lines with very little upfront cost, because people can set this up to have standard stock that prints on demand. We know the print on demand trend is not going anywhere. But I would say, though, there's also that instant trend. I added this to the listings. That was kind of where Aaron came from on this one. I've actually seen some creators now where they look at the print on demand stuff or the transfer stuff and say, hey, no, I want to separate my brand out now that merch has been doing this for a while. And I'm going to do traditional screen print or traditional decoration and pre-order because I want to control the quality of the print, or I like this certain kind of print. And so they're doing very traditional orders. So it actually is both. You don't necessarily have to be in the digital sphere to do this.
Yeah.
One of the creators I know that kind of came to mind, there's a guy who's kind of a news creator named Phil DeFranco, who's been on YouTube forever. He's like, he's definitely one of the YouTube veterans. He does a drop every once in a while, and his stuff is really traditionally screen printed and embroidered, and he has pre-ordered and is very heavy on blank quality and print quality, and kind of leans into that as part of the marketing. So both sides of this are possible. Print on demand for that. And I think smaller creators really probably make the best use of all the digital technologies, but some of the larger creators are going further. And then friend of the show also, Amber Creative, they do podcast stuff very specifically. And he does a lot of really kind of out there decorations, really much more involved decorations and applique and stuff like that. So Jeremy Picker with Amber Creative does that also, and is doing it for really large podcasters. I think like Conan O'Brien or some of the large names that we've seen out there. So there's room for all manner of decoration in this space. And I think this niche is not going anywhere, especially as we now see like people going to YouTube more than TV. I mean, within this last year, YouTube is the primary way people get entertainment. So I think this is going nowhere.
Oh, absolutely. And I've been watching, one of the great things about doing trade shows, Eric, for you and myself, is that we get to talk to all these decorators out there in our seminars or in trade show booth. And gosh, there's so many people come up to me and say, all I do is fulfillment for influencers. And they hold up a shirt, or the shirt I'm wearing, if you'd like to buy this shirt, and these decorators, that's all they do is just crank that stuff out. And guess what? People pay a premium for that service because you know what? We were talking about Johnny Cupcakes last week. Well, his t-shirts are $45. He's got some room. Now, he's a decorator, but somebody like him has some room for you to get a premium and them to make a premium as well. So I do know a decorator here in the Southwest that this was a couple of years ago, told me they were doing $5 million a year just printing for online sellers. And
I thoroughly believe it.
Yeah. And it's great. There's great opportunity out there. So,
and out of curiosity, I couldn't help it because I know I talked about Phil DeFranco, the creator that I said earlier. I know his line. I won't say the name of his line because it has a curse word in it. We have a friendly tag on our iTunes. So I'll just say this much: go straight to the front page, and I'll leave it at that. And I won't flash it since we have something sensitive there. But it's got a hoodie for $80. He's got a tee for $43. And let me tell you, they sell out of these drops. They go out of stock every single time. Now, he's a huge creator. The thing is, I think that you could also look at these huge creators, pull up those merch stores, and then sell the same kind of experience to a smaller creator, especially if you're somebody who can do digital decoration. I think there's a lot going on there. And I'll say, funny enough, I'm also seeing, like you said, Johnny Cupcakes, who's his own decorator. The other thing I see at trade shows all the time, I see a lot of artists, people who are digital artists, who then become apparel decorators because they make their own merch lines, and it becomes like a third bedroom kind of thing,
Right.
a small shop, garage shop thing that actually takes off. So it's an interesting kind of space that I honestly I love seeing take off, because I think that's one of those great ways where we kind of get that ability for everybody on the long tail of culture to get something that speaks to them, and I love that.
Yeah, 100%. Well, the next one on the list is remote
Yeah.
work and digital nomad apparel.
Yeah.
And yes, if you work for the Department of Education, apparently you have to go back to work. But there are plenty of companies that, plenty of companies that got rid of all of their office space, and everybody in the company is working remotely. And some of those are very big companies, but one way that these companies kind of keep everybody bound together is through apparel that you can send out to them. And I spoke about this last week. One of my sons, everybody in the company works remotely.
Looks like you dropped out for a second there, Terry.
I'm sorry.
You dropped out for a second there after remotely.
Oh, okay. So anyway, everybody works. Am I back?
Yeah, you're back. You're back.
Okay. So everybody works remotely. So they had a sales meeting, and everybody got a new polo. Everybody got a hat. Everybody got a coffee mug, and so they're having the meeting. Everybody's using their company coffee mug. Then they get a delivery of a rocks glass, a bottle of like bourbon, and a cigar. And so they had a social hour, and so anybody that wanted to have some bourbon, anybody wanted to smoke a cigar, they had a social gathering, right there online with each other. And it kind of reminded me when he told me that is when COVID hit, Eric, as you might
Yeah.
recall, about once a month we would have a cocktail hour, and we would invite everybody to come on, have a drink, and kind of commiserate. And and it became more than commiserating. It became an opportunity for people to talk about how to apply for, is it PPP, I think,
Yeah.
funding
Yeah.
and things like that. And I just remember one of the people, after that was all over with, came up to me at a trade show, actually gave me a hug and said,
Yeah.
that really helped me get through the whole thing. It was so cool that the two regular guys would have those monthly get-togethers, and so we couldn't talk to each other at trade shows. So it's just such a great opportunity to kind of feel a little better about what was going on. So
Well,
anyway,
honestly, don't we know about it? Because this is kind of our weekly chance to get together and shoot the breeze. That's what it has been for you guys, for you and Aaron. But I mean, altogether, we've been doing this for some time the same way. That, and I have to say thank you to Aaron, because he obviously gives us all of our work from home gear. So I'll spotlight it real quick. So thank you, Aaron, for making us our work from home gear, so that we can feel like part of the team. I
Exactly.
appreciate it. There's our merch time.
Right. And just for the people that are doing it, Aaron said, think Zoom call champion or work from home crew or things like that. But something I thought about that I've been seeing a lot lately is
Yeah.
those nomad workers,
Mm.
because you've got Skylink, you have all these different ways that you can work from anywhere. So all the van life people, all the RV life people, perfect customer who doesn't have the ability to do their own fulfillment. Again, you're kind of going back to the last one, but a lot of these folks have a following out there, even though they're working from mobile, and they're staying at on people's farms for free, or they're staying at state parks, and also have a following to that. But
Yeah,
I mean,
it's very much the same. Like the creator merch space, to me, funny enough, I did tons of company stores, and we did a lot of company stores for distributed companies that had locations all over the place. And one of the big sales was always fulfillment. And once we said we can fulfill and ship, like on top of the decoration, and we have the ability to do online stores, it was just ready to go. They were good. And I think a lot of these creators, and honestly the work from home stuff, there is very little difference to your overhead doing a normal company store that you also allow any kind of fulfillment aside from just pickup and doing remote workers. So it's like, honestly, I think this is a natural space for us and all of our tools are ready for it. We just have to make people aware that it's a thing.
Yeah, 100%. I love that. I
Yeah.
love that.
Let's
So
get
what's
on
next?
to one of the next categories. Yeah, might as well. So, actually, first, before I'm reticent to say that I forgot that the people are out here chatting. We've got a couple things I wanted to see first from our regulators. First, we have Doug who says he's hitting up vendors at home improvement shows. That's a great place to go. Those guys wear lots of merch, and that's always fantastic. And plus, that's a high dollar value environment, so you never hate that. We have a couple things from Mona here. She says, and by the way, I love her spelling. She's got a nice phonetic spelling to make sure I use the right one. I have a client that's found a niche for herself, which will involve a trailer setup. Her dad just gave her a trailer for her birthday for this purpose. Yeah, mobile decoration is still something that people want. I've always been kind of surprised that people make such a good go of it because I have not loved working every event I've ever done. I'm just going to be honest. And the added headache of bringing all my tech and all my gear with me sounds harsh. At the same time, like I know lots of people back in the day who were mobile decorators making quite a lot. And honestly, it was also kind of like a leader for traditional orders. Yes, they were doing orders on site, but a lot of the orders and a lot of the money was coming from traditional orders happening on site and being fulfilled after the fact. So I think that's something interesting to say. We have a couple more. Doug also agrees with you, says great idea about RV people. So there you go. And he also has a fifth wheel and watches several of those YouTube channels. So yeah, those creators are all out there. And one last one from Ramona. She says, I have a friend that together we are working on a line of merch for a local organization, just small line right now, but we expect it to grow. I think the biggest thing there, for me at least, has always been making sure they have ease to share within their own kind of channels. The easier you make it to share and the more you get the big talkers to share, the better off you are when you start those merch programs. I know that's how it was for us in the company stores.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So let's go ahead and go on to the next one. I guess I'm going to keep talking. Sorry, man. This next one is esports and gaming communities. I'm going to say esports is a tough one because it's kind of come and gone and come back. It's still there, but some of the really big esports stuff has started to fall off because it's not as profitable as they always used to think it was. But you're still seeing plenty of competitive gaming going on, like Twitch or stuff that's on YouTube, where you see many people, solo streaming as well. But there are these big communities around games and streams still. And I will say this is something I have seen is esports team jerseys. The thing is, these are like fully sublimated team jerseys. I mean, they have the full gear like you would expect from any other sporting event. It's kind of surprising. You see these dudes in front of computers with full gear, head to toe, full print sublimation. But also, I'm going to say, like, I have seen events that are not necessarily that kind of event taking on the same aesthetic. I know somebody was showing me, what was it? It was a Pokemon Go event. It was like some big yearly Pokemon Go event. What did they have? Jerseys. They had full print jerseys that they bought for this Pokemon Go event. And I was like, man, that is like massive, heavy, like full sublimation piecework. So I'm like, we're talking about cut and sew. And I was like, man, that's just crazy the amount that went into that. But they're willing to do it, and around that is the traditional kind of apparel we all expect as well. So other stuff that Aaron put in his listing here, streamer merch, event-based apparel, of course, with the custom jerseys. And he said that a DTF allows for a lot of detailed, vibrant graphics, perfect for the gaming aesthetic. And like I said, I've seen tons of jerseys and all overs. And the other great thing is because there's a lot of these really kind of wild print jerseys, kind of a big slab style DTF print is not going to go amiss there, where we don't always love the big sticker die cut prints. I know we've all kind of talked about how we like, in fact, I know we had an entire secret sauce from Dane about how to reduce the look of the big patch of decoration. But when we're talking about like jerseys, I know back in the day, hockey jerseys, we did them all traditional applique, but jerseys are one of those places where a big slab transfer is not going to look bad. In fact, it's kind of the aesthetic. So it's a really great place where you can you can drop transfers and not worry about the quote unquote, transfer feel, transfer look, because it really is what's supposed to be there.
Well, and they're organized leagues and all this kind of thing, but take a step just to the side here. Kim's son he's part of the dirt track racing community. So
Yeah.
iRacing is a huge deal, and there are leagues. There's and certainly he has iRacing shirts, because it's a community, and I mean they have like Sunday night leagues and Wednesday night leagues and all kinds of. There's thousands of people that have these iRacing rigs, and they all go online and with their headsets on and yell at each other, and so there's probably 1,000 things like that out there that fit into this category. So.
Oh, and actually, great comment from Ramona. This is something that I hadn't really thought about, quite honestly. Being someone without kids who's a little aged out for being around high schoolers most of the time, our local high schools are about esports and competition. That's awesome. I never thought about high school teams wanting to do the same
Sure.
thing. Plus, here's the other thing. Every time I look at one of these niche markets, I always think, hey, if you skilled up or found your sources for this, it means that you now have the ability to sell this same product into either a more traditional space we're used to, or to other people who may not know this is an option. And I'll say, certainly the funny thing I found is that I had a lot of corporate folks who really like athletic wear. And when we were doing real estate, we had a lot of collegiate and faux athletic wear. So we made jerseys and we made fake letter jackets for real estate companies. But it has to be the right company where they have that kind of, they do really have that kind of booster mentality, because not everybody's work. I'll say this. I won't tell you the specific company. If you know, there are different companies who have kind of that corporate culture where they get together and they really pump the company up and they have big parties and they wear the colors and all that stuff. If you get into one of those companies, you would be surprised what things that don't sound right for the market that they'd be into as a novelty or for a show or for an event. That really surprised me. One of the things that got me, we did a bunch of cheerwear because they love to do sparkly stuff. The specific one had a party at every one of their really big meetings that was a sparkle party. And so we made a tremendous number of rhinestone, transfers of sparkle gear. And at the time, we had only one source for these like sweatshirts that had woven in and kind of almost tinsel like fiber in the sweatshirts. And it was a cheer company. So we were buying like non-cheer sizes. Hey, and I'm a definitely non-cheer size human. We were buying non-cheer sizes.
All extra smalls and smalls.
Oh no, definitely not. They had to go on very normal people who sit at desks. Not everybody is like me, though. Lots of you work that better and are wearing nice small sizes. I'm sorry. I'm not saying everybody in real estate is like me, but we had people wearing these things from all stripes. And let me tell you, they were not cheap to produce. The decoration was not cheap. The garments were not cheap. And we were certainly marking them up for all of these stuff we had to research and figure out to do all the techniques they wanted for decorating. But it is surprising where that can go. And I think the same thing is with these, with all over sub. If you figure out how to get all over sub done, or if you figure out how to get your DTF just right for this kind of stuff, or how to do those orders for the events, you can then spread this out and lots of different markets start to open up once you scale up. But it's kind of interesting because I think we don't always think that. Sometimes we have to jump into a market first to get ourselves there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When you're talking about sizes, it always reminds me of when Ryan Moore said, I wish they made size medium. And I'm like, you suck, Ryan Moore.
Dude,
Friendly. Joking.
Ryan Moore, you put that in my vocabulary forever. I always say medium now. And in fact, my wife says it. Anytime we see anybody and I'm sorry, Ryan, I'm going to apologize now for the joke I'm about to make, my friend. Every time we see somebody who's like a bodybuilder or somebody else who is very obviously wearing a shirt that is about a half size too small, what we always say is, oh man, he's got this medium on. That's what we always say.
Yeah, I'm not talking out of school about Ryan, because when he said it, I shook my fist at him.
Well, on top of that, I'm like, Ryan keeps himself together. He is fully allowed to wear his medium because he's rocking his medium way better than I'm rocking my giant multi-XL shirt. So
it is
by all means,
lifestyle. So more power to it.
You are working out. You are kicking ass. I'm not going to say anything bad about it, but yeah, for real, that word has stuck so hard. Now every time somebody's got a fitted shirt on and they're really pumping iron, I'm always like, man, that guy knows how to get the He's got those mediums on already. And my wife says to me all the time, like, oh man, that guy's wearing this medium. And I'm like, yeah, pretty much. Sorry, dude. But the word's too good to give up, my man.
Exactly. The last of our 5 is mental health and wellness apparel. And quick story, I know we're getting short on time, but just last Friday, I had somebody call me up. Actually, prior to Friday, I met somebody for lunch last Friday who called me up and said, "Hey, I was in your seminar at Impressions Expo in Fort Worth, and I don't know if you remember, but we talked about the fact that my mom lives in Glendale, close to the stadium, like you, and I asked you if when I'm in town, if maybe we could talk, and so we went to lunch together and." Mental health and wellness apparel. He has a line of apparel that he wants to start selling that all has to do with mental health. And it's I thought when I saw this, I thought, oh my gosh, I'm having lunch with somebody today that that is in that marketplace. So lots of conversations about mental health. Clothing that reflects self-care, mindfulness, positive affirmations, brands that support mental health. Eric, as you know, we've had at least 2 companies here on this show where their staff is majority on the spectrum, and they promote the companies as such. So it comes right back to today. Every company has to tell a story, and so I think this is a growth marketplace. I mean, look at things like telehealth. That who would have thought of telehealth before COVID? And that's the only way you could see a doctor for a few years, and it just continues because people love the convenience of it. And there's some opportunities out there with mental health, wellness, all that kind of thing in the apparel industry. Something that really wasn't. I mean, certainly there were pre-COVID. There were companies doing things like this, but not like today.
Oh no, and I think the other thing there's 2 things that made me think of, and I'll try and keep them fairly short so we can get to secret sauce and get everything going. But one thing I saw that was kind of interesting, both kind of goes on this almost like remote work and mental health and wellness. I saw a couple different companies who do medals for you do your own running and you track your running through an app. And when you get to a certain distance, there's a medal and a shirt from the race that you ran or from what you walked. And one of the ones that are great, because I'm a big nerd. I make no, bones about this. I'm a big nerd, read a lot of fantasy novels when I was a kid, stuff like that. They had one where it was like the walk to Mordor. So like from Lord of the Rings, where it's like if you walked the distance that it would have taken to walk to Mordor from the Shire or whatever, that then you get a medal that's this big, Lord of the Rings medal that has a ring in it, and then you get a shirt that says you did it and all this other stuff. But it's distributed and it's very much almost like a subscription box also. And they have all these different walks that you could do or runs that you could do over time. And it's almost like getting marathon gear. So if you're somebody who's really great at doing sports gear and marathon gear, you could then move that into something interesting. Other thing I want to say, and I tease Aaron about this all the time. He's always about positive affirmations stuff. I sometimes like when people do a sarcastic version of this stuff. It's still kind of a wellness thing. We've also heard, this is part of the news lately, if you curse when you hurt yourself, you smash your finger and you curse, the pain tolerance goes up. There's no scientific studies saying it helps, which is a little rough. But I'm going to try to share my screen and see if this works. This is actually from one of the stores I talked about earlier. This is from Phil DeFranco's store. And you can see over here the clearly thriving cat who is screaming and on fire. But yes, this is, once again, it's still kind of mental healthy. And the other shirt that's over on the far side here that Phil's wearing here, it says, keep going on the front and then it will be all right on the back. And so a lot of these brands really are getting to be more about, like I said, uplifting messages, but yeah, it also doesn't mean you have to do it in a saccharine way. It doesn't mean it has to not be a cool graphic or a fun graphic. Because sometimes people think of positive affirmations and lean back on old school self-help books. And I'm like, there's more than that. There's more than that for this wellness. You can still make cool, fun things that people like to wear. And frankly, it'll probably market better than if you think about it in that old school way. So very, very cool stuff. And I couldn't help but share a little bit about it.
Eric, when I was in Chicago last, I was in O'Hare, headed back to Phoenix, and probably half the people in the line and security was wearing a medal from the Chicago Marathon and all kind of like greeting each other in the line. So yes, I could totally see somebody going, yeah, I walked, I don't know how many miles it is to Mordor, but that's
Yeah.
brilliant. That's brilliant.
I
I
mean,
love
they
that.
also have ones that are not quite so nerdy. So don't everybody. I mean, come for me in the comments. I don't care. I've long since known that I'm a weirdo, but there's tons of those types of things. And honestly, I just like the idea that we can now. It is a way to be kind of including people who aren't on site, but it does also allow for you to do that stuff where you kind of. We always talk about you wear your feelings on your sleeve, and we literally do. We're helping people do that. And I think that's kind of awesome. You get to be a part of something, even if you can't be part of, Chicago Marathon.
Exactly. Hey, let's do. We have the opportunity to come close to finishing on time, and we
Yeah.
can put that right in Aaron's face. But I kind of made a quick list of things
Yeah.
that
Go
came
for
out
it.
of the pandemic that survived. So, if you don't mind, I'll just go read through cocktails
Run
to
through it.
go. Cocktails to go. I mean, was well. First of all, mostly illegal most places. I remember my son who lives in Manhattan said, "Dad, I found a place. If you spend $50 on cocktails to go, they also bring you a roll of toilet paper." If anybody remembers the fact that you couldn't buy toilet paper.
I don't want to remember. Oh, looks like you dropped out for a
Cocktails,
second there.
whoever's serving those cocktails needs to have a shirt on the back that says "cocktails to go?" question mark. Call
Yeah,
555. Go drinks. You know.
I would.
And somebody's going, wait, you deliver cocktails? Okay,
Yeah.
555. Robot deliveries,
Hmm.
online education. People
Yeah.
still want to identify, right? Voting by mail. I'm picturing a guy sitting on a couch saying, I just voted.
Why not?
QR codes, solarpreneurships. Um,
Yeah.
and and what I want to say about that is there's so many people during COVID that says, I'm never going to let that happen to me again. I'm
Yeah.
starting my own thing, or at least on the side. So, and online stores. They were there pre-COVID. Online stores are massive, and Eric, you've already brought it up a couple of times. Uh, Selling different types of things in online stores. So,
Well, and let
anyhow,
me tell you, I just taught somebody again. I had an entire session teaching someone how to do embroidered QR codes smaller because they wanted to start using those again too. So, even in the embroidery world, we're doing that. It's like it keeps just coming back, coming back. So, I
yeah,
think now that it's built into everything, it almost needed the pandemic to make that a thing.
exactly right, exactly right. So that's
All
those are
right.
silver lining things, folks.
All right. So, with that, why don't we go ahead and talk about where we're going, what we're doing, so we can get you into your secret sauce.
Absolutely. I'm going to be at Equipment Zone in the Equipment Zone booth. We talked about at the beginning of the show with Adrian, DTF Expo here in Phoenix,
Oh,
actually in
nice.
Mesa, April 1st and 2nd. And so make sure you go to dtfexpo.com. My complete screen printing business course. I'm going to be in Chicago. Next available class will be June 7th and 8th at Atlas Screen Supply. And then watch for all of my upcoming events at terrycombs.com. Do you want to cover errands?
Absolutely. You'll get me the chance to say some more weird stuff because he's got some good ones this time. On March 14th, Aaron will be speaking at Entrepreneur 8. You heard me right on that one. Entrepreneur 8, the last summit. So there's your Star Wars reference for the day, I'm sure. A completely free event that blends business growth, networking, and a little bit of nerdy fun. His session, Harnessing the Force of Your Business Vision. See, I told you guys. Will help you cut through the chaos. Think of it as wielding your business plan like a lightsaber. Did you get me with this one on purpose after I said I was a nerd? Because when you have clarity, you have power. You can register here. I'm going to go ahead and give you guys this link in the comments because it is a very long one, but you can grab the link out of the comments here. It is over at Event Raptors. You'll see that coming up shortly. He also has another one coming up next week. He's going to have a second event that is all about scaling your business the right way, which is another fantastic thing going on. March 20th, he's speaking at the Business Growth for Good Summit Mastermind, another free event for entrepreneurs who want to grow with purpose and profit. So once again, a good one to go to. His session is going to be called Master Pricing for Profit, and it helps you make sure your prices actually support your business growth. So grab your free spot now Once again, I'm going to grab that link and throw it directly into the comments so it's clickable because this is a long one. If you are a podcast listener, jump back into our social media, or we will eventually have this posted up on the website as well. But best place to go, grab in social media, get into those comments, and you'll find all that information there. All right. So last but not least is me. I'm doing the take up again today. My voice is held up decently well today. So I'm going to jump back in and have a solo show. This is episode 216, getting started again. So not just about getting started, but if you have to kind of restart yourself in cultivating creative embroidery. In this episode, I'm actually answering a viewer question about getting started in the world of machine embroidery, but with a twist. Not only are we going to talk about how do we get started and getting a good technical start in embroidery, but we're going to be talking about how you push yourself and the medium of embroidery creatively. As much as I am a very commercial logo based guy, I was kind of known for pushing that part of the world further into creative solutions than they usually wanted to be. So I'm going to talk about how I got started in embroidery, but also how I started to expand my execution. So you can join me live at 2:30 p.m. Mountain Time. I guess it's at 3:30 p.m. Central Universe Time. He's not here to correct me on that one. It's time to ask questions and share your insights live with me. And you can get that over at erichcampbell.com, and the take up tab at the top is a good way to place it. But I'm also going to throw the link in the comments because people have been asking me to do that. I'll grab you the link to the direct show today, but otherwise, erichcampbell.com is where to find me for any questions and to check out the take up.
All right.
All right. So with that, it's about time for the secret sauce. Are you feeling ready to go, my friend?
I am ready for some sauce.
Let's do it. Scene wasn't quite right. Let me get you back on there.
All right. My secret sauce today is screen printing back to basics, platen adhesive. When a screen printer loads a shirt on the platen, lowers the screen, pushes or pulls the squeegee, the ink in the screen wants to try to pick up the shirt when you lift the screen. So, as all screen printers know, you need to apply low tack adhesive to the platen to hold the shirt in place. There are a few options that I want to talk about today in the secret sauce. Let's start with a liquid adhesive. You pour a small amount of the adhesive on the platen and spread it around with a plastic squeegee or a card and allow it to dry. You're ready to print at that point. When the adhesive starts to lose its tack, you can spritz it with a mist of water to reactivate it. You can certainly use this product on a manual press, but most commonly you'll see it on an automatic press. Most screen printers running a manual press don't like to wait for the adhesive to dry, so they opt for a spray adhesive in a can. There are 3 types of spray adhesives available. The first 2 are mist spray and web spray. They do the same thing. Mist spray has the appearance of a spray paint being applied. Web spray looks like a Spider-Man web being applied. They both hold the garment in place exactly the same. It's just a matter of personal preference. The internet's going to tell you that you must use one or the other. My theory is that the person posting that started printing using a mist or a web, so therefore you must do exactly the same. Order a can of both mist and web. Keep using the one you like best. The third spray adhesive is flash adhesive. This spray is specifically made to use when you're using your flash heater. An example would be printing a black t-shirt with a 3-color design. You print the white underbase, move the shirt on the platen under the flash for about 15 seconds, then you print the colors on top. Under heat, a regular mist or web spray adhesive will start to lose its tack more quickly. The answer is to use a flash adhesive that will remain sticky longer, even under heat. Depending on factors in your own shop, when printing on regular t-shirts, you might reapply adhesive after a dozen shirts. If you're printing fleece, you might reapply adhesive every 3 shirts. When you remove a shirt, if it's losing its tack or not, by how easily the garment releases from the platen. There is a less common option for an adhesive. It's adhesive paper that you put on your platen to aid in cleanup that's actually sticky on both sides. I don't love this product because I find it to be a little too sticky, making it difficult to load and unload your shirts. But it's obviously an option available to you. So platen adhesives, it's really just a matter of personal preference. That's my secret sauce for today. All right, we're back. Oh, you know what, Eric, I cannot hear you.
Had to switch around on the fly, folks. Sorry about that. Every once in a while we have technical problems. Today was most definitely one of those days, but at least we got things through and we got some really great information, both wonderful news earlier from Adria and quite frankly, I loved the secret sauce because I like to hear that stuff, even though I'm probably never going to apply adhesive to a platen, but I was actually listening to that with rapt attention, my friends. So,
Awesome.
I don't know. I just like to hear you talk about the business, man.
I appreciate that. And you as well.
Well, hopefully some of you guys really thought about those niche markets because I think there's a lot there for you. I think for my money, it's a lot easier way to start selling if you're not comfortable selling is to drill down and really get focused on something you know really well and get comfortable with. But I really thought there was some great ideas there and loved all the insights that we got.
I did as well. And niche markets, I agree with you. It's the way to go. You can know more about that market than anybody else, and that translates to you owning that market.
Absolutely. So with that, we've come to the close of another show. I will say just, hey, thank you to Aaron for helping to get all this stuff set up. And thank you to you, Terry, for, as we always joke around, being the talent, showing up and doing the work and telling all the stories we need. And thank you to the regulators for chiming in.
Absolutely. And thank you, Eric, for not only co-hosting yet again today, but while doing it, producing the show. So we appreciate everything you do.
Producing it to the best of my current technical ability. But, hey, we got it done. Next week's show, we are still finalizing a guest, so we'll have it posted early next week, but definitely tune in. Stay locked in on social media to see when we're going to be next, because we definitely have some people in the pipeline that we're shifting around, but very excited for what's coming up.
Absolutely. Me as well. Until then, I'm Terry Combs. He's Erich Campbell, sitting in for Aaron Montgomery.
And that was the Two Regular Guys.
Here we go. We're out.
Awesome.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Two Regular Guys. We're here because of listeners like you, and we're so grateful to have you on this journey with us. For more valuable insight, be sure to visit our website, 2regularguys.com, and join the conversation on our Facebook page. And hey, if you or someone you know has expertise, a unique perspective, or a story worth sharing, we'd love to have them as a guest on the show. Just reach out. Remember, success in this industry isn't just about the equipment you own or the techniques you've mastered. It's about the mindset you bring and the connections you build. Keep learning, stay curious, and don't be afraid to think differently. Keep pressing on, and we'll catch you on the next episode of the Two Regular Guys.